Every 4 years, something happens that costs the average American hundreds of dollars without them ever seeing a single invoice. No bill arrives. No charge shows up on the credit card statement flagged as suspicious. The money just quietly disappears into a system designed to extract it from you while you are too entertained to notice.
He passes it
And the
forward,
crazy part is
into
that
the
most
box,
people walk
box,
away from the whole
and he
experience
scores a
feeling like they got a
magnificent
great
goal.
deal. This is the story of how the World Cup made millions of Americans poorer and why almost nobody talks about it. Let's start with a guy named Marcus. He is 34 years old, lives in Chicago, works a decent job, and considers himself pretty responsible with money. He doesn't gamble. He does not make crazy financial decisions. He budgets. But every 4 years when the World Cup rolls around, something changes in Marcus. The excitement is real. The atmosphere is electric. And somewhere between the first match and the final whistle, Marcus spends about $800 he never planned to spend. Not on tickets,
Goal!
not on travel,
Yes! He scores
just
a
on
wonder
being a
goal.
fan from his own
That is
couch
how
in
we do
Chicago.
it. Come on,
And Marcus
keep pushing
has
until the end.
absolutely no
This
idea
is the best
it
match
happened.
ever.
Here is what the World Cup actually is from a financial perspective. It's not just a soccer tournament. It is the single largest coordinated consumer spending event on the planet. Bigger than the Super Bowl. Bigger than the Olympics in terms of sustained spending duration. The FIFA World Cup generates over $6 billion in direct revenue. But that number is almost irrelevant compared to what happens in the broader economy
Thanks for
around
the donation,
it.
gamer dude.
The real money is not made at the stadium. It is made from people like Marcus sitting at home in 30 countries simultaneously opening their wallets for a month straight. To understand how this works, you need to understand a concept called event-driven spending psychology. Human beings are not rational consumers. We like to think we are. We make budgets, we track expenses, we tell ourselves we are being smart. But when a major cultural event arrives, something changes in the brain. The event creates what psychologists call a permission structure. Basically, the brain decides that normal spending rules don't apply right now because this is special. This only happens every 4 years. This is a moment. And the moment the brain grants itself permission, the spending begins. And it doesn't stop until the event ends. Think about everything that happens around the World Cup in America. The bar tabs, the watch parties, the new jerseys that somehow felt necessary even though the old one still fits, the sports packages and streaming subscriptions that get added and then quietly forgotten after the tournament ends, the food deliveries during the game because who wants to cook during a match, the merchandise, the apps, the betting accounts that millions of Americans are open during the tournament. Each individual purchase feels small and justified. A $20 jersey here, a streaming ad on there, $30 at the sports bar during the group stage. But add it all up across a month, and the average American household that is meaningfully involved with the World Cup spends between $500 and $1,200 in direct event-driven spending that would not have happened otherwise. That's not analysis. That is documented consumer behavior tracked across multiple World Cup cycles. But here is where it gets really interesting. And this is the part that Marcus never thought about. It's not the spending itself that makes you poorer. It is the opportunity cost of that spending. Every dollar that goes toward event-driven consumption is a dollar that is not going toward something that builds wealth. And the timing couldn't be worse. Because the World Cup does not arrive during a slow financial month. It arrives and dominates the news cycle, the social calendar, and the spending environment for a full 30 days. 30 days where the average American is in a heightened emotional and social spending state. 30 days where the brain is in permission mode. 30 days where small spending decisions stack on top of each other invisibly. Let's talk about the betting piece specifically, because this is where the financial damage gets serious fast. Legal sports betting has exploded in America. As of the most recent World Cup cycle, over 30 states have legalized sports betting, and the apps are extraordinarily good at getting and keeping your money. During the World Cup, sports betting apps spend hundreds of millions of dollars on promotions. Free bet, deposit matches, risk-free first betters. These offers are designed by behavioral economists whose entire job is to make the first bet feel like it costs nothing. And they work. Millions of Americans who do not regularly gamble open accounts during the World Cup because the promotion made it feel like free money. But the house edge is real. The losses pile up, and most casual bettors finish the tournament significantly down from where they started. The average first-time sports bettor loses around 60 to 70% of their initial deposit within the first 30 days. Not because they are bad at math. Because the apps are built by people who are extraordinarily good at it. Now here is the psychological layer that makes all of this so powerful. The World Cup creates something called social spending pressure. When everyone around you is engaged with an event, not participating feels weird. Saying no to the watch party feels antisocial. Not getting the jersey feels like you are not a real fan. Not having the streaming package means you missed the conversation on Monday morning. The social pressure to participate financially is enormous, and it is invisible. Nobody is telling Marcus to spend money. But the social environment makes spending feel like the normal, expected, low-friction choice, while saving feels like the strange, antisocial, unnecessary one. This is exactly backwards from how a financially healthy environment should work. But that is how every major sporting event is designed to feel. There is another element that most people completely miss. Premium pricing. During the World Cup, the cost of everything associated with the experience goes up. Bar cover charges appear where there were none. Streaming services bundle packages that inflate the monthly rate. Merchandise prices spike in the weeks before the tournament. Even food delivery apps increase surge pricing during peak match times. You are not just spending more. You are spending more per unit on everything. The event creates a captive audience that is emotionally committed to the experience and therefore less price sensitive than they would normally be. Companies know this. They plan for it. They price accordingly. And consumers who are in permission mode do not notice. So what actually happens to someone like Marcus financially? He spends $800 across the tournament. That money came from somewhere. Maybe it came from the emergency fund he was building. Maybe it came from the investment contribution he skipped that month. Maybe it just went on the credit card with the intention of paying it off that never quite happened. Whatever the source, $800 that went toward World Cup consumption was $800 that did not go toward something that builds wealth. And compounded over time, the real cost of that $800 is not $800. Depending on Marcus's age and investment horizon, the real cost could be anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 in future wealth that will never exist. This is not an argument for enjoying the World Cup. It is an argument for seeing it clearly. The experience is real. The joy is real. The community is real. All of that has value. But the financial system built around major sporting events is not neutral. It is engineered specifically to extract money from you during a window when your defenses are down and your permission structures are wide open. Understanding that does not mean you cannot enjoy the event. It means you can make conscious choices instead of automatic ones. Here is what Marcus needed to know before the tournament started. Set a number. Decide in advance exactly what the World Cup is worth to you financially. Maybe that's $200. Maybe it's $500. Whatever the number, write it down before the first match kicks off. Once the number is set, every spending decision during the tournament gets evaluated against that budget. The jersey comes out of the number. The bar tab comes out of the number. The streaming add-on comes out of the number. When the number is gone, the spending stops. This sounds simple. It is also almost never what people do, because the permission structure makes budgeting feel like you are ruining your own fun. But the alternative is waking up in August, wondering where several $100s went, and having nothing to show for it except a jersey that doesn't fit quite right and a subscription you forgot to cancel. The World Cup happens every 4 years, over a working lifetime that is 10 or 11 tournaments. 10 or 11 windows where the financial extraction machine runs at full power. If Marcus goes into each of those tournaments without a plan, the cumulative cost over his lifetime is not $800. It is the compounded future value of $8,000 to $12,000 of unplanned event-driven spending. That's a real number. It is the kind of number that shows up at retirement as the difference between comfortable and anxious. Not because of one bad financial decision, because of 10 completely invisible ones that never felt like decisions at all. The World Cup will not make you feel worse. That's the genius of it. You will feel like you had an incredible month. You will feel like it was worth every dollar. And maybe it was. But only if you decide that before the first whistle blew. Because the financial system around that tournament does not wait for you to decide.
Spending gives
It
you
made the
instant
decision
loss.
for you before you even
Investing
knew there was a
builds
choice to make.
long-term wealth.